The DMV Monitor is a new research project that we've launched here at Brookings in order to understand how the country's sixth largest regional economy may or may not be changing as a result of new federal government actions. All right, so the changes that the Trump administration is making are having impacts nationwide. So for example, we see that unemployment is up slightly all over the country. But when we specifically look at the Washington, D.C. region, we see that unemployment here is up almost 9 times as much as in the country as a whole. Another example of this is what's happening in the regional housing market. There are more homes for sale nationwide. Actually, home listings are up over 30%. But in the DMV, home listings are up over 60%. That's twice the nationwide rate. Yeah, I need to know where we are.
I do have that in the research server already, so I can just pull that for you.
That would be incredible.
So I was talking to Campbell because he wanted to go live with this. So I do what it sounds like. It's like both he, Anna Lucia, and Emma both know that take on it like that.
Okay. Right. So the Trump administration is doing lots of things that are changing the country as a whole, right? Like changes to immigration policy or tariffs, for example. Those are something that have an impact nationwide. But they're also doing some things to specifically remake Washington and the Washington, D.C. area. So, for example, the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, is cutting a lot of federal grants and contracts, in addition to offering federal employees what they called a fork in the road, in an attempt to reduce the size of the federal workforce. And since almost 10% of workers in the DC region work for the federal government, it's the biggest employer here, that could potentially have a big impact on this area. So when DOGE sent the email called a fork in the road, offering federal workers early retirement, it said that federal workers could pursue careers in the private sector. But what we're seeing in the DMV is that private sector job growth has plateaued as of the summer of 2025. So with the DMV Monitor, we are mining private sector data in order to try to understand at a really nuanced way what's actually happening. So for example, we combed real job postings in order to try to understand what kinds of professional opportunities are out there. And we discovered that while internships for young people are down all across the country by 16%, in our region, they're down more than 30%. So some workers are having a much harder time than others finding opportunities. The DMV is a global destination that has 3 airports, DCA, which is in Arlington, BWI in Maryland, and IAD in Virginia. And those airports are actually having a great year in terms of passenger volumes. Even though passenger volumes are down at DCA, where there was a major collision earlier this year, all 3 airports in the aggregate have passenger volumes that are higher than last year, even though passenger volumes nationwide are down. So that means there's still demand for DC.